I'd always believed that love was the most precious thing in my life. For 5 years, my husband James had been my rock, my confidant, my everything. We lived in a beautiful brownstone in Boston that his family had owned for generations. It wasn't extravagant, but it was ours, or so I thought. That Wednesday started like any other. James had left early for his job at the investment firm downtown. He always dressed impeccably in his tailored suits, a gift from my father when we got married. My father, a successful real estate developer, had initially been skeptical about James, but eventually embraced him as the son he never had. I was tidying our bedroom, changing the sheets, and dusting the antique oak furniture that had belonged to James's grandmother. As I reached under the bed to retrieve a stray sock, my fingers brushed against something silky. I pulled it out, expecting one of my scarves, but instead found a pair of red lace underwear. My heart froze. They weren't mine. I stared at them, turning them over in my trembling hands. They were expensive, La Perla, a brand I knew well but rarely splurged on myself. James and I had been struggling financially lately, despite his prestigious job. He'd convinced me to cut back on my spending while he invested in our future. A cold realization washed over me. I sank onto our bed, still clutching the underwear. I'd suspected something was wrong for months. The late nights at the office, the sudden business trips, the way he guarded his phone. But I'd convinced myself I was being paranoid. Now I had proof. My husband was cheating on me. I didn't cry. Instead, I carefully examined the underwear for any clues. There was a small monogram on the waistband, a fancy S embroidered in gold thread. Something about it seemed familiar. Then it hit me. S for Sophia, my sister. The room started spinning. Sophia was 3 years younger than me, always the favorite child. While I had studied practical subjects and married young, Sophia had traveled the world, gotten an MBA from Harvard, and recently moved back to Boston to work for our father's company. She lived in a luxury apartment downtown that our father paid for, drove a Mercedes convertible, and always wore designer clothes. "No," I whispered to myself, "it can't be her." But deep down, I knew. The lingering hugs between James and Sophia at family gatherings, the inside jokes, the way they'd both disappear during parties, returning minutes apart with flushed faces they blamed on the wine. I heard my phone ping with a message. It was from my mother. "Don't forget, family dinner tonight at 7. Your father is announcing something important. Our weekly family dinners were sacred. Missing one was unthinkable, especially when my father had an announcement." I texted back a simple, "I'll be there," while my mind raced with possibilities. Should I confront James immediately? Call Sophia? Tell my parents? No, I needed to be strategic. My father had always taught me that in business, timing was everything. The same applied here. I carefully placed the underwear in a Ziploc bag and hid it in my purse. Then I went to my closet and selected my outfit for dinner, a black dress I'd been saving for a special occasion. It had cost me a month's salary from my part-time job at the library, but it made me look confident, powerful. James called around lunchtime. "Hey babe, just checking in. I'll meet you at your parents' place tonight, okay? I've got a late meeting." His voice sounded casual, loving even. How many times had he lied to me like this, his voice warm while his heart was cold? "Sure," I replied, keeping my tone neutral. "Don't be late. Dad's making an announcement." "Wouldn't miss it," he said. "Love you." The words that once made my heart flutter now made my stomach churn. "See you there," I responded, unable to return the sentiment. After hanging up, I called Sophia, something I rarely did. We weren't close, despite my attempts over the years. She always seemed to view me as competition rather than family. "Hey sis, what's up?" she answered, sounding slightly annoyed. "Just confirming you'll be at dinner tonight," I said. Of course I will. Dad's making his big announcement about the company restructuring, so she knew what the announcement was. Of course she did. Great, I said. See you then. I spent the rest of the afternoon preparing. I visited the liquor store and purchased an expensive bottle of champagne. The clerk raised his eyebrows when I requested gift wrapping, but complied without comment. As I drove to my parents' sprawling colonial home in Beacon Hill, I rehearsed what I would say. The evidence was in my purse, along with the champagne. My heart pounded so hard I could feel it in my throat, but a strange calm had settled over me. For once in my life, I wasn't going to be the doormat, the good girl who smiled through pain. Tonight, everyone would see the truth. My parents' house was lit up like a Christmas tree, though it was only September. Mom always kept every light on, saying it made the place feel alive. And days, the driveway was already filled with cars. My father's Bentley, my mother's Range Rover, Sophia's Mercedes, and James's Audi that my father had helped him finance. I parked my modest Honda on the street and took a deep breath. In my rearview mirror, I checked my makeup one last time. I'd applied it carefully, subtle but flawless. I wanted to look strong, not broken. The housekeeper, Maria, greeted me at the door. "Everyone is in the living room, Mrs. Taylor." As I walked in, I saw them all, my perfect family in their perfect bubble. My father, Richard, stood by the fireplace, tumbler of whiskey in hand, discussing something with James. My mother, Elizabeth, perched elegantly on the sofa, nodding at whatever Sophia was saying. They looked like a Norman Rockwell painting of American success. "There she is," my father boomed when he spotted me. "The last to arrive as usual." "Traffic," I lied, accepting his perfunctory kiss on the cheek. James approached, smiling that smile that used to melt me. "Hey, beautiful," he said, leaning in to kiss me. I turned my head slightly so his lips landed on my cheek instead of my mouth. If he noticed, he didn't show it. "What's in the bag?" my mother asked, eyeing my purse and the wrapped bottle. "Just a little something to celebrate Dad's announcement," I replied, my voice steadier than I felt. Sophia raised an eyebrow. "Since when do you splurge on anything?" "Special occasion," I said, meeting her gaze. For a moment I thought I saw something flicker in her eyes, uncertainty, perhaps even guilt. But it vanished quickly. Dinner was torture. My mother had prepared Dad's favorite, prime rib with all the trimmings, served on the finest china. Everyone chatted about mundane things, the weather, politics, local gossip. James and Sophia barely looked at each other, too careful. But I noticed how his hand brushed against hers when passing the salt, how she smiled into her wineglass at his jokes. Finally, as Maria cleared the dinner plates, my father tapped his glass. "I have an announcement to make," he said, standing. "As you know, I've been considering the future of the company for some time now. I'm not getting any younger, and it's time to think about succession." My mother beamed at him adoringly. Sophia sat up straighter, expectant. "I've decided to restructure the company leadership," Dad continued, "and I'm pleased to announce that I'm creating a new position, Chief Operating Officer." He paused for effect, looking around the table. My heart sank. I knew what was coming. "James, I'd like to offer you the position." The table erupted in congratulations. James looked appropriately shocked, though I knew he must have been aware. This was why my sister was sleeping with my husband. Power, position, keeping the company in the family. "I don't know what to say, Richard," James stammered, playing his part perfectly. "I'm honored." "Say yes, son," my father laughed. "The starting salary is $300,000 plus bonuses." My mother clapped her hands. "This calls for champagne." "Actually," I said, standing up, "I brought some for just this occasion." All eyes turned to me as I retrieved the wrapped bottle from my purse. I unwrapped it carefully, revealing the expensive champagne. "James," I said, "would you do the honors?" He looked surprised but pleased as he took the bottle. While he worked on the cork, I reached back into my purse and withdrew the Ziploc bag containing the red underwear. "I thought we should have a proper toast," I said, my voice clear and unwavering. The cork popped, making everyone jump slightly. James began to pour the champagne, starting with my father's glass. "To new beginnings," I said, raising the Ziploc bag, "and to finally seeing things as they truly are." I dangled the red underwear from my finger. The room went silent. "I found these under our bed this morning," I continued, looking directly at Sophia. "Funny thing is, they're not mine, but they do have a very distinctive monogram." The color drained from both James and Sophia's faces. "S for Sophia," I said, turning to my parents. "My husband and my sister have been having an affair." My mother gasped. My father's face turned from shocked to thunderous in seconds. "What the hell is this?" he demanded, looking from me to James to Sophia. James recovered first. "Honey, I can explain." "Don't!" I cut him off. "Don't you dare call me honey while you're sleeping with my sister." Sophia stood up, her chair scraping loudly against the hardwood floor. "It's not what you think. Sit down," my father commanded, his voice deadly quiet. She obeyed instantly. He turned to James, his eyes cold. "Is this true?" James swallowed hard. "Richard, please answer the question," my father said, his knuckles white around his glass. James looked at Sophia, then at me, then back at my father. "Yes," he finally admitted, "but it's complicated." My father stood up so abruptly his chair fell backward. "You have exactly 30 seconds to get out of my house before I show you just how complicated things can get." James paled. My father was not a violent man, but he had connections throughout Boston. With one phone call, he could destroy James's career, his reputation, everything. "Richard, please," James pleaded. "The position." My father laughed, a harsh sound with no humor in it. "You think I'd still give you the COO position? You think I'd let you anywhere near my company after this? You have 20 seconds left." James looked desperately at Sophia, who avoided his gaze, then at me, his eyes begging for mercy. I simply stared back, feeling nothing but a cold satisfaction. "Time's up," my father said, reaching for his phone. James didn't wait to see what call my father would make. He bolted from the dining room, nearly tripping over his own feet. Seconds later, we heard the front door slam, followed by the screech of tires as he drove away. Here's the continuation with parts 3 and 4, maintaining the same quality and format, with approximately 5,000 characters each. Part 3. The silence that followed James's departure was deafening. My father remained standing, his breathing heavy, like a bull preparing to charge again. My mother sat frozen, her champagne glass still raised mid-air, as if time had stopped for her. And Sophia, my beautiful, perfect sister, had tears streaming down her face, ruining her expertly applied makeup. "How long?" My father finally broke the silence, addressing Sophia directly. She flinched at his tone. "Dad, How? Long?" Each word was a hammer strike. 8 months, she whispered, unable to meet his gaze. 8 months. While I had been planning our 5th anniversary celebration, working extra shifts at the library to save for a weekend trip, they had been betraying me. I felt strangely calm, as if watching the scene unfold from a distance. Why? This time it was my mother who spoke, her voice barely audible. "Why would you do this to your sister?" Sophia looked up then, her eyes suddenly hard despite the tears. "It wasn't about her. James and we connected. You wouldn't understand." I laughed, the sound shocking even me. "You connected? Over what exactly? The family business, the money? Or did you just want what was mine like always?" "That's not fair," Sophia protested. "You always play the victim. the good daughter who sacrifices everything, but you have no ambition, no drive. James needs someone who understands his world, his goals. His world? I repeated incredulously. His world is a lie. He's been living off Dad's connection since the day I introduced you. The apartment? Dad co-signed. The Audi? Dad's finance guy arranged it. His job? Dad's college roommate hired him as a favor. Without this family, your precious James would be nothing. My father nodded grimly. And now he is nothing. He turned to me, his expression softening slightly. I'm sorry, sweetheart, I had no idea. None of us did, my mother added, finally setting down her glass. Sophia, how could you? Sophia stood up, smoothing her designer dress. Another gift from our parents. I'm not going to sit here and be judged by all of you. Yes, I made a mistake, but James and I have real feelings for each other. Real feelings? My father scoffed. Real enough that he ran out of here the moment his meal ticket was threatened? Where is he now, Sophia? Calling you, begging you to save him? Or is he already packing his bags? As if on cue, Sophia's phone buzzed with an incoming text. She glanced at it, her face falling. What does he say? I asked, already knowing the answer. That's private, she snapped, but I was faster. I snatched the phone from her hand and read the message aloud. We need to talk. This is a disaster. I'm going to lose everything. I looked up at her. Not, I love you. Not, we'll get through this together. Just panic about what he's going to lose. Sophia grabbed her phone back. You don't understand our relationship. No, you don't understand James, I countered. He's using you, just like he used me. The only difference is I actually believed he loved me. My father cleared his throat. Sophia, I think you should leave now. Dad, she protested. Not forever, he clarified. But tonight, yes. I need time to think about this, about the company, about everything. Sophia looked to our mother for support, but found none. With a frustrated sound, she grabbed her purse and stormed out, the front door slamming behind her for the second time that night. My mother immediately came to my side, wrapping an arm around me. Are you okay? Do you want to stay here tonight? The adrenaline that had carried me through dinner was starting to fade. I felt hollow, exhausted. I can't go back to that house right now. Of course not, my father agreed. Stay in your old room. Tomorrow we'll call my lawyer and start divorce proceedings. I nodded numbly, allowing my mother to lead me upstairs. My childhood bedroom remained unchanged. Shelves of books, academic trophies, framed photos. I stared at my wedding picture on the nightstand, wondering how I could have been so blind. My mother sat beside me on the bed. I don't know what to say, except that I'm so sorry. We never imagined Sophia would... It's not your fault, I said automatically. Still, she sighed heavily. Your father and I will support you through this, whatever you need. After she left, I changed into an old nightgown from the dresser and lay down, certain I wouldn't sleep. But exhaustion claimed me quickly, pulling me into a mercifully dreamless slumber. I woke to sunlight streaming through the curtains and the buzz of my phone. 17 missed calls, 10 from James, 7 from Sophia, dozens of texts, all variations of "we need to talk" and "please let me explain." I deleted them all without reading further and went downstairs. My father sat at the kitchen island, laptop open, looking like he hadn't slept. There you are, he said when he saw me. I've been making some calls. I poured myself coffee from the carafe. What kind of calls? First, to my lawyer about your divorce. Second, to James's boss, former boss, I should say. I nearly dropped my mug. You got him fired. I merely informed Arthur about James's character. The decision to terminate was his. My father's smile was cold. I've also contacted the leasing office at your apartment building. James's name is being removed from the lease. The locks will be changed today. Dad, I don't know if... This is non-negotiable, he interrupted. That man betrayed this family. He will not profit from it any longer. He closed his laptop. Now, about your future. I know you've been working part-time at the library, but I think it's time you joined the company properly. I blinked in surprise. The company? But I studied literature, not business. You're smart, capable, and most importantly, trustworthy. The COO position is still open. He held up a hand to stop my protest. Not immediately, of course. You'll start in marketing, learn the business from the ground up, but in time that position could be yours. For years, I'd assumed my father saw me as the reliable but unexceptional daughter, the one who would have a quiet life while Sophia blazed trails. Now I realized he'd been watching more closely than I'd thought. "What about Sophia?" I asked. His expression hardened. "She'll keep her current position for now, but her path to advancement has become considerably more challenging." My phone buzzed again. "James." I declined the call. "I should go home," I said. "Pack his things, start the process." My father nodded. "Take Maria with you. I don't want you alone if he shows up." An hour later, Maria and I arrived at my apartment. James's Audi was nowhere in sight, but I was still nervous as the locksmith finished changing the locks. Inside, everything looked exactly as I'd left it yesterday, before my world imploded. "Where should we begin, Mrs. Taylor?" Maria asked. I looked around at the life James and I had built, or rather, the life I thought we'd built. "The bedroom," I decided. "Let's start where it all began." The next 2 weeks passed in a blur of lawyers, paperwork, and boxes. James made several attempts to see me, each more desperate than the last. I instructed the doorman not to let him up and blocked his number after he called 53 times in one day. Sophia tried a different approach, sending a 10-page letter explaining her side of the story. How James had pursued her, how she'd resisted initially, how they hadn't meant to hurt me. I tore it up without finishing. My father was true to his word. He arranged for a moving company to pack James's belongings and deliver them to a storage facility, paid for 1 month. After that, if James didn't claim them, they would be donated. He also expedited my divorce proceedings, leveraging his connections to ensure the best possible outcome for me. I started working at the family company the Monday after the dinner. My father put me in marketing as promised, under a stern but fair manager named Helen, who seemed unimpressed by my last name. I appreciated that. I wanted to earn my place, not be handed it because of family drama. It was on my 3rd day at work that I first saw Sophia since the dinner. We passed each other in the hallway, her in a sleek designer suit, me in the most professional outfit I could put together from my limited wardrobe. "How are you?" she asked, her voice tentative. "Working," I replied curtly, moving to walk past her. She caught my arm. "Wait, please. I know you hate me right now, and you have every right to, but we're sisters. That has to count for something." I looked at her hand on my arm until she released me. "Being sisters didn't stop you from sleeping with my husband. I know, I messed up badly, but I want to make things right." "You can't," I said simply. "Some things can't be fixed with an apology and a designer gift basket." Her eyes widened. "I didn't send. It arrived yesterday. Champagne, gourmet chocolates, spa certificates. Very tasteful." "That wasn't me," she insisted. "I wouldn't." Realization dawned on her face, followed by anger. "James, he's trying to buy your forgiveness through me, make you think I'm attempting to bribe you." "Well, it sounds like something he would do," I admitted. "Try to pit us against each other." For the first time since the dinner, Sophia and I shared a look of understanding. James had manipulated us both. "Have you heard from him?" I asked, curiosity getting the better of me. She nodded grimly. "Constantly, begging me to talk to Dad, to you. He lost his apartment after your lawyer froze the joint accounts." "Where is he staying?" Some budget motel in Dorchester, she replied. He keeps saying once everything calms down, we can be together openly. I couldn't help but laugh. And are you going to ride off into the sunset with him? Of course not, she said, looking genuinely offended. I made a terrible mistake getting involved with him, but I'm not stupid. I've seen his true colors now. We stood in awkward silence for a moment. I should get back to work, I finally said. Me too. She hesitated. Mom wants us all to have dinner this Sunday. Will you come? I don't know if I'm ready for that. Please consider it, she said, for Mom's sake, if nothing else. I nodded non-committally and continued to my office, my mind churning. Could I ever forgive Sophia? Did I even want to try? The answer came 3 days later when I received a visit from an unexpected source. I was working late, trying to impress Helen with my dedication, when the receptionist called. There's a Ms. Rebecca Collins here to see you. She doesn't have an appointment, but she says it's important. The name meant nothing to me. Send her in. A petite woman with auburn hair entered my office. She was expensively dressed but looked exhausted, with dark circles under her eyes. Thank you for seeing me, she said, extending her hand. I'm Rebecca Collins, James's wife. I felt like I'd been slapped. Excuse me? Well, technically his ex-wife, she clarified, taking a seat without waiting for an invitation. We divorced 3 years ago, right before he moved to Boston and met you. But I thought you should know the full story about the man you married. For the next hour, Rebecca outlined a pattern so similar to my experience that it was eerie. James had married her for her family connections, cheated with her cousin, and left when a better opportunity, me, had presented itself. Why are you telling me this now? I asked when she finished. Because he contacted me last week, she explained. Said he was in trouble, needed money. When I refused, he threatened to contest our divorce settlement. She leaned forward. I did some digging and found out about you, about what happened. I thought you deserved to know you're not the first. After she left, I sat in my office for a long time, processing. Then I called Sophia. I'll come to dinner on Sunday, I said when she answered, but I need a favor first. Sunday dinner was subdued compared to our usual family gatherings. My mother had prepared comfort food rather than anything fancy. My father was polite, but reserved with Sophia. And Sophia and I circled each other cautiously, like boxers in the first round. After dessert, my father cleared his throat. I've made some decisions about the company. We all turned to him expectantly. The COO position will remain open for now. Sophia will continue in her current role with a 6-month probation period. He looked at her sternly. Your work has been excellent, but your judgment was severely compromised. You need to rebuild trust. Sophia nodded, accepting the decision without argument. As for you, he continued, turning to me, I'm creating a new position, Director of Community Relations. You'll oversee our charitable foundation and public outreach programs. Your empathy and integrity will be valuable assets. I was touched by his faith in me. Thank you, Dad. I won't let you down. I know you won't, he said warmly. Now, I believe you have some news to share? I took a deep breath. Yes. I met with James yesterday. My mother gasped. Sophia looked alarmed. Don't worry, I assured them. It was in a public place and I had backup. I nodded towards Sophia, who had accompanied me as promised. He wanted to explain and beg for another chance. Instead, I introduced him to Rebecca Collins. Who? My father asked. His first wife, Sophia supplied. The one he never mentioned. My mother's hand flew to her mouth. He was married before? Yes, and he used the same playbook with her, I explained. Marry into a wealthy family, cheat with a relative, move on when something better comes along. When I confronted him with this pattern, with both of us there as witnesses, he broke down, It was pathetic, Sophia added. 1 minute threatening to sue for his fair share of the marital assets, the next crying about how much he loved both of us. I nodded. I recorded the entire conversation. My lawyer has it now. James won't be contesting the divorce or making any claims on our assets. My father raised his glass. To my daughters, both of them stronger than they knew. As we clinked glasses, I caught Sophia's eye. The road to forgiveness would be long, and I wasn't sure we'd ever fully repair what had been broken. But for the first time, I could imagine a future where we might be sisters again, not the idealized family we'd pretended to be, but something real, forged through fire. To new beginnings, I said, echoing the toast I'd made 2 weeks earlier, but with a very different meaning. This time, when we drank, it truly was a celebration, not of endings, but of truth. And truth, painful as it might be, was always worth toasting.